just have to bring back something for a friend of yours.
That's right. And you'll get some serious cash.
Right.
Well?
Not too late. Don't get talked into trafficking drugs. Once you're in, the British government can't get you out. Don't throw your life away.
You're listening to The Travel Show with John Guinn on UKHealthRadio.com. So, as I mentioned earlier in the show, this time of year people start to plan their holidays for the next year. I'm now going to go through a few tips I've given out in the past when I've been doing public speaking on how to use the internet to research and plan your holiday. Of course, planning far and ahead can cause problems such as the Tunisia terrorism attacks, and I once sold a holiday on Christmas Day for Sri Lanka, and of course Boxing Day there was the tsunami, and that put people off there too. So all you can do is plan as best as you can for your holiday that's coming, and different people have different ideas about what they should be doing on a holiday. Some people think about a nice little beach hut. Other people have family holidays, maybe a city break. Could even be a romantic break near a beach, or maybe you have to work while you travel, but you can use the internet to plan all that too. Of course, you do have to be careful that you don't end up with an old banger of a holiday when you're doing it yourself. You don't have the experience and expertise of using a travel professional, so it could be quite easy to come up with a 2CV holiday instead of a Rolls Royce if you're not careful. But you can get a Rolls Royce holiday for quite reasonable money if you do put enough thought, time and effort into it. The first port of call for people who are using the internet is not TripAdvisor. As far as I'm concerned, you should always go to a website called holidaytravelwatch.net. Now, I've had these guys on my show a couple of times. They help consumers resolve problems they've had when they've been away. And problems you could be like building works next door, really horrible grotty kitchen, filthy dirty toilets, damp. Blocked toilets, quite a favourite on a cruise ship. When the engine goes, the electric goes and the plumbing goes. And of course it could be insect infestation. But if you go to Holiday Travel Watch, plenty of tips on how to plan your holiday. I haven't looked at it for a while because I've not been away this year. And that's because I've just moved. I may or may not have mentioned that in previous shows. But they did say only book with an ABTA registered travel agent. I don't agree with that myself. Just book with a travel agent who you know, like, trust and do have bonding of some form. So this could be a trust account, such as with travel counsellors, global travel group members and members of the Travel Trust Association. And using a trust account can actually give you far better protection than using an ABTA member. Just read the small print. So don't always go for ABTA. Do look at what other travel agents as well. So the website for Holiday Travel Watch tells you how to plan your trip, prepare for health, all the sort of stuff I'm going through now. So if you can't be bothered to listen to me, turn the show off, go to Holiday Travel Watch and look up the information there. What used to happen when people did it themselves was they booked the wrong airport. That may seem daft, but it's quite easy to do. It's less common now because holiday travel flight booking websites have got more user-friendly. But if you think about it, if you see Sydney NS and Sydney NSW, it's quite easy to book the one in Sydney, Nova Scotia instead of New South Wales. So you end up, instead of a nice beach holiday for Christmas time, you end up landing in a blizzard and your shorts and flip-flops will do you no good there. So what you should do when you're planning is use airport codes for the airports you want to go to. It's not just people getting the wrong Sydney. If you use the airport code for Sydney, it's SYD. If you use it for Sydney and Nova Scotia, it's YQY. Very difficult to get those two mixed up. But there is an SYD code, which is Sydney, spelt slightly different to Sydney in Australia, and it's a little small airport in the middle of nowhere, and you don't want to go there either. So airport codes, very useful. They're also useful if you're booking a hire car. There's 2 international airports in Orlando. If you pick the wrong one for your hire car, you have to find your way from where you've landed to where your car's going to be. And then when you return the car, you have to find your way from where you've returned the car to where your airport actually is. It's only around about 15 miles, but it's an inconvenience. And of course, your travel party won't let you forget that you booked the hire car from the wrong place. So when you're planning your trip, it's also always good to have a plan for your planning. And you can look at things like you want to research countries. When you're happy with the choice, check the weather. If you're happy with the weather, keep going. So look for accommodation, look for reviews, then look at the budget. Don't start with money, start with what you want to do first. And then work out what you can and can't afford. So look what you want to do first. It makes planning a lot easier than trying to go, well, I want to go somewhere for £100. Then you'd look for the facilities at the hotel. Has it got everything you want? I mean, there's no point staying at a 5-star hotel with a golf course and a waterfall and if you're not going to use any of that. So a good 4-star could obviously be cheaper, and it may even be a better holiday because the staff are so much better at this 4-star holiday hotel than they are at the 5 stars. Don't go on star ratings either. Then you have to find flights. Are you going to fly direct? Direct doesn't mean non-stop. Direct means you get on the plane at your chosen departure airport and you get off the plane at your chosen arrival airport. So if you're flying from Heathrow, you fly Heathrow direct to the Cayman Islands, but your plane touches down in the Bahamas, but you don't get off. A non-stop flight, however, is what it says. It's a non-stop flight. So flying to Bahamas from from Heathrow with British Airways is a non-stop. Flying direct from Heathrow to the Cayman Islands is not a non-stop, it's a direct because you stop at the Bahamas. And then there's connecting flights as well, where you get off and then you change and you get onto another plane. And you can do this with the same ticket, which I recommend you do. Or you can go for cheaper options. So, for example, fly EasyJet to Amsterdam and then get in a flight from Amsterdam to Mexico. Unfortunately, if you do it that way and the EasyJet flight is late, EasyJet are not going to care that you've missed your flight, and the flight you've missed are not going to care that you've missed your flight because of EasyJet, so you have to get another flight. But if you book it on the same ticket, then people do care about getting you to your destination. So as I said, don't just go on price, go on the facilities and the protection you get as well. Then you need to decide whether you're going to fly with book a package holiday, an Atoll Plus holiday, or book it all separately. Booking it all separately has advantages. It can be lots cheaper doing it that way. A friend of mine, he books flights with EasyJet and he books his hotel in Crete direct with the hotel owners. And he gets it an awful lot cheaper than he can going through a travel agent. There are problems. If the flight's cancelled from EasyJet, he then has to find an alternative way of getting there, which could cost an awful lot more than he's paid out before. If the hotel goes bust and there's no other accommodation in Crete where he wants to go, he still has to fly there because EasyJet are not going to give him his flight money back. But another massive advantage is he doesn't have to pay until he checks out. And with some travel companies wanting full payment 10 or 12 weeks before you depart, the only thing he's paying up front for is the flights. And then he has 3 months basically to save the money to pay for the hotel. So it's a massive advantage that way, but you don't get the protection. If you book a package holiday, you get looked after really well if something goes wrong. Well, you should do anyway. A Flight Plus holiday looks like a package holiday, but it's not a package holiday. And you may find that if something goes wrong, such as the hotel goes bust, or the flights are cancelled, and you have to find other flights, all the travel company will do, well, they will assist you to find replacements, but you will have to pay the difference. Package holiday, it's extremely unlikely you have to pay the difference because there are rules involved in that. But if you're flying with a Flight Plus and say EasyJet cancel the flights, the travel agent then turn back to you and say, right, you need new flights, they're going to cost you £300 more. You have to pay that extra £300 because the agreement for the Flight Plus is to protect you if your flights are cancelled while you're out there or before you go. But if there's other problems, then you might have to pay extra. So it's something to be aware of. I've simplified it there, but just wanted to scare you into making sure you read the small print. So you found a way you want to book it, separate package, Flight Plus. You then book it, but then you need to find out how you're going to get around, where you want to eat if you're not staying all-inclusive. All-inclusive is not the best way to travel, as far as I'm concerned. It's convenient. So if you're travelling with children, they can just go up and get drinks and keep hydrated, which is very important. but I wouldn't use it to say, right, I've booked all inclusive, I'm not going anywhere else. Have a look at the difference between the prices, because you may find that the extra for the all inclusive basically gives you free drinks for the day. I'm not on about alcohol, I'm on about drinks, so it could be soft or alcohol. And then you just explore as well and eat out. You probably get better food that way anyway. And of course you need to find out what things you're going to see and do when you're there too. Unless it's a fly and flop holiday, then all you're going to do is fly and flop. You can follow me on Twitter at holiday_hut. So I'm talking about using the internet to plan and research your trip for 2016 or 2017 if you fancy that cruise to see the America's Cup. And when it comes to choosing a destination, there's plenty of different sorts of websites you can use. There's travel guides and blogs, which is information comparable to printed guides. There's advice from other travellers, which includes using online communities to ask questions and to discuss your plans. I've used online communities an awful lot when I was planning holidays for a living. I like to say about this town in Ukraine before the problems kicked off. Somebody wanted to get from one town to another. All the websites, from far as I can tell, were in Russian. Maybe they're in Ukrainian too, I don't know. And they all had lots of adverts for girlfriends around the sides. But I needed to know how to do this journey, and I went on an online community. I got the answer. I also got warnings about how dangerous the bus station can be. So they're really useful things to use. If you're going to use a travel destination guide, there's one called World Travel Guide. This is actually produced by Columbus, who produce information for travel professionals. This is a free version of what travel professionals pay for. So it's not as in-depth as the ones the travel agents or tour companies get, but there's still plenty of good basic information there. But what you find when you're looking for destinations on the internet, if you're looking for somewhere specific and quite niche, then it can be very hard to find different sources to validate the information you found. And by that I mean you don't just go for the first page you've seen, alright, okay, this is the best place to go for this. You need to hunt around to see what other people think about this place. And when I was looking for something for what to wear in the Himalayas for not to climb mountains, but just for a trek, I found that lots of different websites had exactly the same information on. Plagiarism is alive and well on the internet, so you do need to be careful. So always along, if you're doing it yourself, you do need to be careful. It's like plumbing a bathroom, there can be massive mistakes to be made. And when you're looking at, say, a travel brochure, which you should never ever use to make your mind up if you're going to book somewhere, but only use it if you're using that travel company to provide the holiday, so you've got a copy of the small print. I should learn to breathe more. So, from a Thomas Cook website I found a few years ago, should you come to party, you'll be grinning from ear to ear. This resort's cool clubs and sports bars, karaoke pubs, and family shows will test even the hardened party animal, as a stroll down Veronica's Players Bar Street will confirm. In the morning, as young and spirited sleep it off, you can enjoy the resort's friendly cafes, secure in your space on Players' wonderful clean beach, or plan a trip to the island's excitingly diverse interior, culminating in the fiery mountain Tiedi, the volcano with a view. So that's the tour operator's version. Travel Eye is a kind of a truth guide, which you can find out a bit more about what's going on. It's the sort of thing that some travel companies use when they're looking at hotels themselves, that people go round. It's not like TripAdvisor where you get amateurs to say how they felt. These are mystery shoppers. And the Players Dallas Americas area attracts gregarious action seekers. Families and most age groups are provided before, but quiet, thoughtful types should look elsewhere. It is popular with the British, also, sadly, with low-lifers and drug peddlers who tend to ply their trade in the main part of the resort called Veronica's Complex. Don't be put off, but be aware. Now, it's highly unlikely that you're going to see that written in a travel brochure, so this is the sort of thing you can find out when you're researching a trip for yourself. You can also check out the Foreign and Commonwealth Office travel advice, www.gov.uk/FCO. A few years ago, ABTA had their travel convention in Barcelona, and quite a few travel agents got robbed. And if they're paid attention to the travel advice, which they should be doing as travel professionals when they recommend places to their clients,